I would like to see him go up against guys like Villa down in Tampa, see what his true mettle is.
Mhm.
That's not a knock against him, but that's what we're really going to find out. Is he the true heir apparent to Jason Kelce whenever Kelce decides to walk up to the sunset? But I think he has a great initial foundation in terms of getting up to speed a lot faster, so that if he is called upon, he's ready technique-wise, understanding the line calls, making the line calls with confidence, and knowing his assignment each and every play.
So let's look at the game here, Gunner, yesterday.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes,
they
sir.
come out of the chute with 2 straight drives. Does the second now? None of the starters, other than Jurgens, may be a starter if Kelce can't go week 1. So technically, maybe 1 starter, but the rest of them sitting. They come out the first 2 drives. How about this? Out of the chute, 14 plays, 76 yards, 7 minutes 26 on the first one, which we'll get into in detail in a second. Next one, 17 plays, 75 yards, 7 minutes 35 seconds. They ate up more than a quarter.
A quarter
on those 2 drives. And the first one ends with Boston Scott punches it in, and then Gainwell on the second one. So you really just rode those 2 hard, Gunner, in the first 2 series. And I thought it was predominantly runs, but it was a nice little balance too of run throw on those first 2 drives against Cleveland's 2s on defense.
Well, and Rob, I wasn't even watching. Funny thing is, those first 2 drives, I wasn't even watching the skill players that much. I'm watching the interior play, the offensive line. I'm watching, Opeda, and Anderson and Driscoll. And, dude, they're playing like frontliners. I mean, I understand they're playing against Cleveland's second tier as well.
Right.
But, dude, their technique, ability to push the pocket, give the quarterback time to set up and throw, open holes on the zone running. The RPOs were incredible. And the thing about the RPOs that I've noticed about those first 2 drives was a lot of misdirection in terms of the line flow would go one way, and all of a sudden the play would go back to the other way, or vice versa. It would go this way, come back the other way. I just thought the offensive line did a great job of getting initial push and getting to the second tier. Mm-hmm. The guys like the guards in the center, especially Jurgens, who had to get to that second level, to a linebacker, to a DB coming up. I thought they did an incredible job in terms. And that's why I hate to say it, you're going to lose somebody somewhere. Yeah. Hopefully for a short period of time. It's just the nature of the game. But I feel so good about the second tier of linemen. They've got to keep 9 or 10,
I know.
Some teams struggle to decide on how do you keep 9 or 10 from this group. We don't have 9 or 10 offensive linemen that we like. The Eagles easily have 9 offensive linemen they like.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible luxury.
Derek, I don't want to trade Dillard. Okay. Somebody gives you an incredible package. Okay. It's different, but man, my Lotta, God forbid, goes down. You could plug that guy in. Yep. You could plug Jurgens in at center. Opeda, Anderson, Driscoll, all of these guys, you're not in panic mode if they have to come in there, or if they need to buy you a series or 2 while someone gets worked on the sideline or whatever. Right. It's not going to turn into a turnstile where your quarterback gets killed. Very few teams have that kind of luxury, like across the board, like the Eagles do. It's amazing.
And you don't have to worry about wondering, okay, who am I going to plug in here? Because they train them to be versatile.
Yeah.
A guy can play either guard position. Certain guys can play either tackle position, and a couple of guys can play guard or tackle position. That is a great luxury to have in today's game. You look at how many offensive linemen are falling by the wayside. The Giants alone, it's incredible the volume of injuries they've had. They can't get an offensive line to save their lives.
Tampa Bay.
Oof. Guys are falling by the wayside. And this is a team that if one goes down, 2 can step up easily and fill the gap for this team.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, they're going to be good guys cut. They will have to cut some quality offensive line. Believe me, Derek, I'm telling you, there are other teams drooling for cut downs, and they're going to pounce when the Eagles make some of these cuts. They just are.
And the thing is, the names that will be cut from the Eagles are not names that you're really concerned about, but they're names you wish you could keep on a practice squad, just because you want to keep training them in your way of doing things.
Right.
so that they're that next level. If the starter falls down, the second guy moves up, boom, you already got a guy in the fold that you can plug in as his backup who's ready to go. So you're gonna have to bring in somebody who you have to train in your system again. That's the nature of the beast. But you're right. And not only that, because they're going to keep such a surplus of offensive linemen, other players at other positions the Eagles are going to have to cut are going to bid other teams as well down the road somewhere. Because they have a good nucleus of young players. You wish you could keep everybody, even with the expanded practice squad. You still can't keep everybody. You can't.
I agree. And look, it was good to. I think we all know what Boston Scott's capable of, right? For sure. So I wasn't surprised to see him come out and look as good as he did, especially when they were, they featured him. What was good was Gainwell didn't have a great camp, or at least up until that point, he was just okay, and he was hurt. Right. He had the hip injury, etc. He looked fine. Like I'm not worried about where he's at physically. He looked really good in there, I thought.
Yeah, I thought he ran hard. I thought he hit the hole nicely. He put his foot in the ground. One step and go, get up the field. I thought he gave a great second effort. Again, he's been nicked up. He hasn't had the greatest training camp, but I think he showed that the Eagles will be very comfortable with him. And is it number 2, number 3? Probably number 3 again, depending on where Miles Sanders is right now, with a hamstring issue, which could linger into the regular season. We don't know. But I thought he did what I wanted him to see him do, which is to improve from year 1 to year 2, show some improvement. I thought he ran harder than I saw him ran a lot of times last year, and you need that. Now, when you get to Huntley, I have some concerns. Number one, I thought Huntley ran too high.
Yep.
I thought he was too tentative. I thought he missed a number of holes. It was like he was second guessing where he should go. And I thought Huntley last year ran the ball pretty well, so I was a little surprised. I can understand if you're saying I'm playing with a bunch of guys I'm not used to playing with, but the guys he was running behind opened holes for him to get through.
Yeah,
and there were a couple times he got tackled for losses when I thought, dude, the hole's right there.
Yeah,
put your foot in the ground and go. And he hesitated like he didn't know where to go at times, and I'm thinking that's not gonna bode well for you, dude. In terms of making his team as that fourth running back. Now,
I've been underwhelmed. I got to tell you, I've been a little under. I liked Huntley more going into the year than what I've seen from him. And Derek, these are the guys he's used to playing with too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I agree with you. Like it feels like there's a spot there. If you could find someone who's a little bit bigger at the running back spot, who can maybe also return kicks. It feels like there's an opportunity somewhere. And we know Howie is an aggressive guy. And he generally makes at least one deal during camp.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's Rager, I don't know what, but something feels like it's coming down the line. So let's actually go there.
Wait, did you say Rager?
Yes.
Did you mention Rager? You mean
yes? I just mentioned him. Yep.
Your favorite 5th or 6th wide receiver, Jalen.
Well, here's where I'm at with it. I keep waiting. Like a game like yesterday, I thought was a great opportunity for a bust out for him. He's going against the other team's 2s. He's getting an opportunity to get a lot of reps, at least early. And, he had a couple catches, but it was just okay. Well, he wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anything that blew you away to make you feel good. It was just And Deion Kane, meanwhile, makes a really good contested catch. And on the very next play, and it was a real good back shoulder throw by Minshew. But he makes 2 straight plays, Derek. And on the day, 5 catches, 66 yards, more than 13 yards per catch on 7 targets. Deion Kane showed out.
In the second half, too, he also caught an out route. I thought he was out of bounds. Body control was incredible, got his feet down. It was a catch. And I tweeted out after that, I said, Deion Kane's out here making plays, going to cost somebody a job. Mm-hmm. And everybody assumed I was talking about Rager. I didn't say Rager. I said it's going to cost a potential candidate to make this roster a job because he's playing so well.
Right.
I mean, he can flat out play.
I agree.
He's playing against second tier, but you got to make plays against whoever you're up against out there on the field. Is it Rager? It's going to cost him a job. You and Bear still think Rager's making his team. I'm going to stick to my guns until they make the final cuts next week. I think Rager's 50-50 with me. I'm still not sold on Rager making his team. He hasn't. What has he shown you in the return game? You can't use them on kickoff returns.
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing. No, nothing. I mean, look, let me be clear. Here's where I'm at. I think he's here if he doesn't get traded. A trade, all bets are off.
Right.
My point is, I don't think they cut him. But you're right, Derek. Your question, just to follow up, he didn't show me anything in any way where I feel good about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, is what Mr. Taz saying is true? Was that Mr. Taz? Let me go back here a minute because it caught my eye. What did he say? Yeah, Mr. Taz. We've converted Rob at last, D-Gun. Have we converted Rob in terms of on Rager? Have we converted you? Your thoughts?
I still think he's
in terms of him not making his team.
I point this out.
Come on, Rob. Come on over to the real side, baby.
Listen to what I'm saying. I point this out because I think he's going to make it and doesn't deserve to make it. All right, you're asking me, would I rather have Deion Kane? The problem is Deion Kane doesn't return punts. This is a tricky spot here, Derek.
Guess what? Right now, nobody does for this team.
I know. All right, let's go there for a minute, but we'll get into the defense and Jurgens in a second. But I other than Jake Elliott, I don't feel good about any of this. And Sippos has actually looked okay in these preseason games, but I don't like the return game at all. And I feel like to an extent they've ignored it, and it doesn't feel like the guys who are vying for those sort of last spots are really worthy. I know Rager can, in theory, play the position of punt returner, but who do they have? Who's returning kicks?
Nobody.
Covey hasn't done anything. Let's be real.
No, he hasn't. No. You're right. It's right now it's a hopeful returner by committee. And I don't know who's in that committee right now because nobody's had an opportunity. Now, later when we get to our general football segment, as I told you in the pre-show meeting, I saw a young man in Dallas this weekend, return a punt and a kickoff for a touchdown in the same preseason game. Mm-hmm. And when I saw this kid hit the hole, I'm thinking, oh, my goodness. But wait till you hear this story about this kid, where he came from and his size. His size is like, this kid's going to get broken up. But we've seen little men make it in the NFL in a lot of cases. And this kid could strike fear into a lot of people down in Dallas. And I'm thinking how they got this kid in Dallas and what he's showing in preseason games compared to what the Eagles have is like, and I'm not chastising the Eagles. The Eagles have done such a great job in so many areas.
Agreed.
Fixing the defense, adding depth to the cornerback position, depth at offensive line, getting Jalen Hurts hopefully to the next level of his progression as a young starting quarterback. It seems like they overmissed the return game in this regard.
Yeah, and that's why I still, to me, I am not writing off a trade because, look, we see it. You don't think they see it? Like they see it. They know. Do you remember the year? I know you remember this, but when they had to use Greg Lewis to return punts and he fumbled in Green Bay?
Yes.
And it really hurt them in that game? I just have visions. And Howie was with the team then, okay?
Yep.
So it wasn't that long ago. I just don't see that same thing happening here again. I think they will get somebody in here, and that might mean Rager gets traded, but I think they will do something. I do. I truly believe that.
Talking football, let me tell you how sick I am. Between Friday and Sunday, I taped 7 games. And over the weekend, I watched the first half of each game. All I wanted to see was the first half of each game. And that's why I said I saw this kid play for Dallas, and I said, oh, my goodness.
Yep.
And then I saw some other players as well. But that kid stood out, and I'm thinking, I do not want to see this kid returning punts or kickoff against the Eagles because we've talked about how the Eagles special teams has been bland so far. And that's the last kid I want to see returning a punt against any Eagles.
Especially for that team.
Oh, my goodness. Of all teams, Dallas. I hope Dallas goes 1-16.
Amen.
But
man, I got you. Listen, I hear you. And it's a bit of a worry here. So I would just say it's a real issue now as we sit here August 22nd. I'm not sure it's going to be a real issue September 11th when it gets real. That's all I'll say.
I know when we had Jeff McClain on earlier this summer, he talked about how he didn't think John Hightower was making this team.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. We haven't seen a whole lot of Hightower, but I do believe he has some football skills. I don't know. John Hightower may be a name that you might not hear on the cut list next week.
Like ahead of even a Deion Kane, who's shown you
No,
a
no,
little
I
something?
don't think ahead of Kane, but I'm just saying, I
Okay.
don't know. Something about this kid. It's like, don't give up on him just yet. Don't give up on him. He has potential.
Let's stay on the receivers for a minute. If Devin Allen makes a play, it was amazing. I mean, the route, nice move, post, and give Reed Sinnett credit. He aired it out, man. He aired it out. That was 56 yards in the air, and it looked like he didn't have much problem doing it.
Great route.
Great, everything was
great throw.
The speed was insane.
The Cleveland safety blew that because he bit on the under route.
Yeah.
So he left him wide open. You know a cornerback is not going to be able to stay with him one-on-one on a fly route.
Right.
It's like a Deshaun Jackson type. If you let the quarterback stand there and pat the ball, if the quarterback has a strong enough arm, eventually D-Jack is coming free.
Yeah.
Allen is coming free. Eventually, if the quarterback has time. But is he a one-trick pony? See?
Yeah, and is it too little too late? Like, in other words, yeah, great yesterday, awesome. He hasn't done – they said he started looking better actually in the open practices in Cleveland last week. But
right.
We're getting late in the game here for him to make a move, and he doesn't return kicks or punts. I hate to keep harping on that, but maybe if he did, I think maybe now you could get him onto your practice squad, possibly.
I don't know, man.
I know. He might just be gone, and he might just be gone.
Yeah.
But I feel like it is too little, too late. It's a shame.
I don't know, man.
Hey, look, if this is the way it ends, at least I know it's a preseason game, but the guy caught a touchdown. At least maybe it's something he pursued it, and I give him credit. All right, let's talk about how good Jurgens looked. He's in the open field, Derek, and he's athletic, and he plays pissed off. Like, he's out there trucking guys in the open field. He's not just tying them up; he's laying them out.
I love how he sustains blocks. He just doesn't. He doesn't just give an effort. He's already well versed in how to sustain a block. Stay on a block. You see him make that point of contact. If he's double teaming the nose tackle or a guy in the gap, he stays with it. He doesn't. If he bounces off initial contact, push him this way for the other guy to your right or to your left. Get to that second tier in a hurry. Has great footwork already. Quick for a guy 300 pounds. Quick, and as a center, you have to be quickness as well as not durability, as well as
agility.
Yeah. Agility is a huge key to separating an average center from a really good center.
Yep.
And this kid, I think, is already a really good center. He was well groomed at Nebraska, and now he's in the best circle possible with Kelsey and Jeff Stoutland, and it's already showing. Again, he's playing against second and third. I would like to see him go up against frontline D tackles. I would like to see him go up against guys like Villa down in Tampa, see what his true mettle is. Mm-hmm. That's not a knock against him, but that's what we're really going to find out. Is he the true heir apparent to Jason Kelsey whenever Kelsey decides to walk him to the sunset? But I think he has a great initial foundation in terms of getting up to speed a lot faster, so that if he is called upon, he's ready technique-wise, understanding the line calls, making the line calls with confidence, and knowing his assignment each and every play. I love everything I've seen about him.
A big part is recognition of what that defense is doing and calling that out. It's not just and look, this other stuff's been awesome, but that's the thing. And look, you're right. It helps big time that he's working with Kelsey, who's right on board with training this guy. Like, there's
exactly.
I don't want to. No, Kelsey welcomes that. Like, dude, whatever you got, let's. I'll answer any questions you have.
Yes.
And that speaks to the kind of character Kelsey has.
Oh, no question. And Kelsey is the working man offensive lineman. That's why people love him. He speaks from the heart. His work ethic is second to none. He has made himself into a possible Pro Bowl center in the National Football League, when there was a time when a lot of people wanted to give up on him, and he could have gone down that dark hole because he heard all the criticism. He's talked about it openly, about being an undersized offensive lineman, not being able to handle the bigger D tackles in the National Football League, being overwhelmed. He kept working at it. All of a sudden, he emerges as a Pro Bowler. He is arguably the best center in the game today. So kudos to him for believing in himself, never giving up on himself, and increasing that work ethic to the point where he is technically as sound as anybody who's ever played that position.
Yeah, and he's like you said, he's got Stoutland, he's got a good group with him, and I thought all in all, every one of those guys, including Dillard, really acquitted themselves well in that game.
Oh my goodness, no question about it. No question about it. Dillard basically because I was not a big fan of Dillard last year,
right?
But you saw progress from Dillard as the season went along, and now you see it from training camp to the preseason games. Dillard is a much improved player. Could the Eagles possibly use him at trade bait for something that they want down the road? Who knows? I hope they don't. I hope they keep him. He's already under the salary cap, knows the system. He can play either right or left tackle. I think he's better suited on the left side more so than the right side. So you have that luxury of having him there. Eventually, if he leaves here, I think he's going to go somewhere else and do well.
I do too.
I think he's at this stage of his career now. He's got over being homesick and all that stuff.
He's grown up. I mean,
he's grown up.
Look, sometimes at 22, you're not, where you are at 25, 26. That's all, right?
Exactly, dude.
And I think he knows how to be a pro now. I agree.
Yes.
Look, it's a situation where if you have Mailata here for the next 10 years, and that's what you hope, knock on wood, he doesn't. You wish he loved to play the right side. He doesn't necessarily. So it feels like it's coming to a head where he won't be here. But I'd love to have him here at least this year for insurance. I would love to see.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Yes, especially when you consider how tight it's going to be week in and week out, against certain opponents. You need all the depth you can have.
Yep.
And you never know what Howie's thinking, though. See, that's the thing. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what he's thinking.
He is not predictable, to say the least. Howie.
What are they looking at on this team that they might consider a weakness, an area they may need to address even further? What are we not seeing on the surface?
Right tackle might be a little thin. Certainly, like we talked about the return game, a bigger running back. Have they seen enough from Sippos that they're good at punter? That's not going to be a major move. That would be just grabbing somebody.
That's not going to be a major move at all. No. See, when Lane Johnson went down last year, they had some inconsistencies on the right tackle side.
Yeah.
Whoever they plugged in there. So would it are you going to give up? You're not giving up Andre Dillard for a backup.
I would.
I don't think. You need a frontline player. What would you consider your need? That's what I'm saying. Something we're not looking at. Could it be a running back? Could it be a safety?
Right.
Don't know. But how even when Howie's sleeping, he's thinking.
Oh, there's no question. I'll guarantee you, Derek, and I'm not telling you like blockbuster, blow you away. There's going to be a move. There's going to be something at least where he either gets some depth, further gets depth, or addresses something. I can't imagine special teams. They go into battle on September 11th like this with this kick return and punt return game.
Right.
I can't see it.
No, you can't.
So, all right, let's go defense on the other side. When we get back, we will dig into the defense, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we saw, from that squad, guys who maybe helped themselves, who were on the bubble. We'll get into all that coming up at 1:30. We'll do some Phillies. 2:00, Jordan Reynan from ESPN.com. We will give you some news when we get back to on Thibodeau, how what the injury is with him, the New York Giants defensive end from something that went down last night. A little bit of a controversy with that play too, which we'll talk about. But Jordan's going to join us. We'll jump around the NFC East with him and the NFC in general, and we got all kinds of football talk for you, so you don't want to go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, we're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk a little Pro Action Restoration. Yes, Pro Action Restoration. Whether you have a home, you have a business, you have a property of yours, and you've had some smoke, some fire, some mold, some water damage, whatever the case may be, and you don't have the capabilities of fixing it or treating it yourself, that's why they are there. Call Pro Action Restoration 24 hours, 7 days a week. They are ready to assist. I called them on a Saturday. They were right over, cleaned it up. Crew was unbelievable. They were professional, and the price was very reasonable. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. You can check the reputation. It is second to none. They will work in conjunction with your insurance company as well. Again, could be water, fire, smoke, mold, whatever the case may be. They are equipped to handle it. Give them a call at 610-623-3700. 3760, 610-623-3760, or you can reach out online, proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.